At Jahia, we know that front-end developers don't want to start from scratch. So today, we're going to dive into an exciting new Jahia module, one which allows you to transform an existing HTML and CSS mockup into a fully-fledged Jahia site. It's called Jahia Starter Templates, and in this 5-part series, we'll be covering the entire process from HTML to Jahia Experience. This is part 1, where we'll give you a brief overview of the new features and start dealing with assets. Let's take a look. In this series, we're going to turn this free HTML template into a Jahia site without having to create a module or use the Jahia Studio. First, we need to retrieve the starter template package via the Jahia store. We download the package and create a new site, selecting the Start with your HTML template. We click through the setup and hit Save. The site's now been created, but it's empty. It's just acting as a placeholder. We navigate our existing HTML template and download the source files. We now have our site, the CSS, fonts, resources, JavaScript, and images. We open this file in an IDE to get an idea of the page structure. To kick things off, we're going to add all the CSS and JavaScript, building the head tag of our pages. This particular template is using the JavaScript to handle the responsiveness, which means we'll need to update all the file paths, which we've already done in this example, to match our Jahia environment. It's really simple to import these files into your Jahia instance. Simply navigate to JContent, open the Global Assets subtree in your Media folder, and then drag and drop the assets to the appropriate file spaces. So CSS in the CSS folder and JavaScript in the head tag and the footer. Remember, the template is relying on the JavaScript for the template's responsiveness. So we're going to create a new folder called Responsive CSS and upload the appropriate CSS files there. This new folder represents the path we modified in the JavaScript. We then publish the folder so that all the files are accessible. We begin to copy across our JavaScript files to the appropriate folders. We can add resources or CSS that will only be applied in the preview and live, but not in the page composer. This is mostly for JavaScript animations, in order to reduce any technical strain for contributors when they contribute via the page composer. The next step is to create a fonts folder, where we're going to drag and drop our fonts files into. We've prefixed the files with numbers so that they're called in the correct order, as Jahia Starter Templates call them alphabetically. This order is defined in our index.html file. The same procedure applies for the CSS. If you need to reference something outside your file structure, such as a Google font, you can edit the HTML metadata within Jahia. To do so, we copy our comment and navigate to our Jahia instance. We right-click on the site node and select Edit, scroll down and toggle the Add Metadata in the head tag, and then add our comment and hit Save. Now that we have all of our assets, we're going to create an image folder to upload all of our visuals. Same as before, we drag and drop our images into the folder. We now have everything we need, but we're missing the HTML itself. So we're going to copy all of the content of our page, leaving the navigation for later, and then select the HTML code text button in the page composer. We paste our code into the editor. There's a few things we need to be aware of here. The current version of Jahia Starter Templates doesn't support comments. We're already planning to address this in a future release. The banner image is being referenced via CSS. So to make it easier to edit later on, we're going to add the style attributes here, using this macro, which is Jahia's prefix for images. We then simply reference the file path for the image we're using. We're going to use this macro for every single image being referenced in our HTML. We then hit save. Backing out to the page composer, we can see that our page has already started to come alive. That's it for part 1. Tune into part 2, where we'll discuss how you can turn this HTML page into an interactable Jahia experience with the ability to edit text and page components. Thanks for watching.